visitors observing. Unfortunately, we are faced with not making a quorum with our membership. So this is going to be a workshop. It's not going to be any decisions made. But for the purpose of today and some of the information that we're going to receive, it will be live streamed as a workshop. We normally don't live stream our workshops, but this one we will because of the information we're going to receive. I think that makes it fairly clear. So we have apologies from, well, Waharoa has resigned and Deacon, it's an apology. So process not ideal, but yeah, and I believe there's a replacement being nominated. Deacon, unfortunately, it's not well today. So here we are. The internet's all up and running, so we will fire into the workshop. So we'll just follow the items on the agenda as workshop items. So first up, Manaia, if you'd like to lead.
Thank you, Adrian, to committee. I'd just like to invite Mike Groom up here. Mike's actually, you don't want to be listening to me on issues like this. We're going to, Mike Groom has prepared this report for us, and we're very appreciative of his work and really appreciative that he was prepared to come up in person, because I certainly am no expert. I'm very far removed from being any sort of expert in aviation matters, and so for me, there are some, of course, a number of aviation issues in the study, which I just want to ensure that you get the chance to ask the questions as the committee that you want to. Just can I preface that though by saying I need to offer an apology to Sharon, Vicky, and to Mike, because they've been working with the committee, with the Aerodrome users group, and they made an undertaking that the user group would have an opportunity to see the report before it came to the committee. The report has a number of recommendations in it today, and all we're asking today is that you receive this information. Quite significant recommendations for the future. And I felt it was really important that we start socialising these issues with this committee as soon as possible. And so unfortunately, I've had to break the promise that they made to those users. And I will front the users on the 17th of July and happily explain my reasons. It feels to Vicky and Sharon in particular, have been pushing for this kind of comprehensive position and situation report. And it feels to us as staff like it's quite a milestone that this draft report is here, because it fills in a lot of the gaps that we have as staff in our knowledge. And so we feel it's a milestone for that reason. But also probably the bigger reason is we are aware and have been aware probably the last few years about certain things that are occurring at the Aerodrome that whilst we are not fully familiar with, we've been working with the user group about, and that's about some safety issues. And we've reported that at different times to the governance committee, just updating you on those issues. So to have a person of Mike's background and expertise endorsed by the user group, his expertise, to have him available to actually prepare this report and address you is actually for us very, very much a milestone moment. So with that apology to staff and to Mike about breaking that promise and that introduction, I will take the report as being read, and Mike's brief was, Mike, you are the author, you are independent, you tell the committee what you feel is most important, and be prepared to respond to any questions. And so I'll just take the report as being read. That's all right. Ngā te mā. Mike.
Thank you, Manaia. Morning, everybody. I'd like to first of all say thank you very much to Manaia and Sharon, Vicky, and more lately to Roger over there for their support in preparing this report for you. They've given me a lot of information, background information, which we normally have to go digging for, but they're very forthcoming And when I asked for information, it was readily available. So it made my job a lot easier. It was an interesting study to do. And as I've said to the team, that I have an interest in small airfields. And that's my specialty is small airfields and country airfields like this. So it was good to get to back onto the grass runway instead of a sealed one, and see what it was all about. This morning my brief was a little bit shorter. Well, I don't know how much time we've actually got, but I've just prepared just 4 topics that I want to cover off in the report. The report is quite a substantial document, as you can see. And the reason I've prepared it that way is that a lot of council control of airfields like this, the people that are in charge of it have very little aviation knowledge. So this report is sort of couched in a way that it's given them a little bit of a lesson on how things work, and so that they can read it and understand why certain things happen. And well, perhaps into the future, it can be used as a little bit of a text as we go through the document as well as discussing whatever I found in the report. I wanted to first of all start on basically the where the council fits into this whole picture. The council is actually the operator, the Waharoa Matamata-Piako. There's different land ownership underneath it, but the operator of the airfield is the one that has to make the decisions and makes the rules around how it's to work. The airfield is non-certificated and unattended. And non-certificated means that it's not regulated under the Civil Aviation Act. Effectively is just a paddock in the middle of the way. But in saying that, the council is bound by the civil aviation rules to make sure that people operating to and from it and off it remain safe. So it has the Civil Aviation Act does not apply as it stands at the moment. If it was to become certificated, the airfield would then has to go through a more formal process, and doesn't affect the users of the airport, of the airfield, but it certainly does the management aspects. Under certification, there must be a chief executive and a safety manager appointed to the role. They actually, at the moment, the CE of the council is the one responsible for anything that goes wrong. If it was certificated, it becomes the CE of the airport, which is not necessarily the CE of the council. So there's a little bit of difference there. But it puts certification puts a boundary around how the airfield management should operate. Being unattended means that there's no airways control there. There's no air traffic control, and people have got this feeling that most airports in New Zealand have air traffic control. They don't. It's 214 registered airfields in New Zealand, only 16 of them have air traffic control. So it's a misnomer to think that when the aircraft gets in the air, that air traffic control is controlled. And in the report, I've actually outlined the difference between the different classes of airspace, and that's when airways get involved, and it's getting the altitude that that's the airspace. So the operator's responsibilities are primarily under you've got the Health and Safety Work Act, is BCBU. And the other side of this is that the aerodrome operator, as you can see with this chart up here, makes the rules which are published in what's known as the AIP. The AIP is the Aviation Information Publication, which is published by Airways New Zealand and the CDA. The AIP itself, the document, is 4 volumes. They're each literally about this thing. The only one that we need to worry about is volume 4 here. And in volume 4, every aerodrome in those registered airfields in state has what's known as a plate, which is a diagram like that of the airfield. And that explains to any pilot using that airfield, the length of the runways, all the information they need on it. Radio frequencies, who owns and operates it, and how you go about the procedures going to or from that airfield. This here is the one for Matamata, and as you can see, there's 2 runways. Little arrows off the end there show which direction the aircraft must turn when taking off, landing on the runways. The little piece in the middle, some squares, is where the model aircraft operate. And then this PLA is there, which is where the parachute landing area is. So there's quite a bit going on Matamata. That's only page 1 of 4 pages. And in the report, there's a diagram similar to that of the main runway, which can be split into 2 for the gliding. One side for winch towing, the other side for everybody else to use. So the airfield itself is very versatile. It can handle lots of different types of activity. You're very lucky. It's a nice wide strip, 137 metres wide. And that's why you can split this runway into 2. But the responsibility of the operator is the fact that you make the rules. And the analogy I've used is like in town. If you drive down the street in town, the speed limit in town is actually set by the council, and this is a state highway. But the police enforce it. Same applies here, whereas the council sets the rules around how the airfield can be operated, who operates to from it. But the CAA, Civil Aviation Authority, enforces it, as can the council. So that's the analogy. So a lot of people seem to think the CAA owns and operates a lot of airfields around the country. They don't own any of them. They don't operate it. That's correct. And make sure that people comply with the. So with a normal situation, if there needs to be something changed on the how the airfield operates, council will go to the airfield users, have a discussion with them, and come to a resolution as to how that change should if it is going to happen. Then it goes to the Civil Aviation Authority for their approval. Everything in this document here has to be approved by CAA. Once it's approved by CAA, it then is handed to the Airways New Zealand, who then publish it in this format here. So that's a little bit on the responsibilities of the council. The second point I want to make is the lack of taxiways. There's no taxiways on the airfield, and that it's a good thing you bring that up. There is a bit of an issue with this. Even though you've got an extremely wide runway, often in times, busy times, particularly with gliding competitions on, there's a lot of gliders on the airfield, a lot of people using it, and you end up with the gliders being stacked on the end of the runway, ready for any aircraft on the runway is deemed to be an obstruction. And no aircraft is allowed to land or take off on a runway where there is an obstruction. So by putting a taxiway in, well, what do I say, if down the right-hand side, bottom corner, the runway 28 there, aircraft taxiing from up where the Aero Club is and other places to the end of the runway often can't have to taxi down the centre of the runway to get around maybe a glider or something else that's parked there, which is not ideal. There's a risk. So my suggestion is that you consider putting a taxiway in down that southern side, southwestern side. There's plenty of room to do it. There's no earthworks required, nothing required, just the market works. So that aircraft and cars that with gliding club, they take their cars down to the end and drive down that taxiway, get to the end, and not be a conflict with any other aircraft that's operating on the train. It's very simple. What I've also suggested is that the market was at the end of the runway. Runway's 1,089 metres long. It gives you 300 metres at the end of that runway, that lighter green on the right-hand side, where the gliding club can park cars and the caravan that they need to be there. But it also gives room for the gliding club to stack their gliders there rather than on the runway prior to takeoff. keeps them clear of the active runway. So that taxiway could be put in very, very easily, very simply. And just be marked with marker boards to show where it is, so that when an aircraft going from, say, the aircraft park at the other end, you taxi down there knowing they're not going to have to go around another aircraft park on the runway. And vice versa, when they come into land, they can just turn left if they're coming in from the right-hand side, turn left onto the taxiway and freeze the runway up to the next aircraft. Quite a simple fix. That can be, it's about 16 metres wide, 30 metres total. There are, and the wingspan for the gliders, you know, it's a bit of give and take. You go, you know, around a bit. Effectively, what I'm saying is there needs to be a designated area for aircraft to taxi up and down. The glider would actually go onto the runway to be towed down into the car or motorbike or whatever, with its wings out. And as long as the radio falls away to say that.
The glider is in the taxiway. Sort of
Yeah, the glider in the taxiway is wings that would probably touch the fence, so it would shift down lots. But for everyday general use, yeah, taxiway would be.
Makes sense, really does.
You know, gliders have a huge wingspan, and they're different aircraft altogether when it comes to human and on the ground, but they do take a lot of space on the ground, and particularly if they've got a competition on, you know, and this is where very, very lucky here. It's a very good gliding area and a lot of competition, a lot of gliding activity. You're just trying to make it relieve some of that pressure on others that come in there. You get the local operator, he knows what's going on. I'm a visitor to the airfield. I haven't done what's going on. So we need to make sure that they are aware. So that taxiway.
Putting that in makes it legal for an aircraft to land.
Yes.
Or something.
So
Without it.
I think you typically not allowed to do that. It's happening all the time. But, you know, and you're lucky with a big airway that you get away with it. But what you wouldn't want is the CIA inspector sitting on the fence.
So do I assume that people that fly gliders operating from other airfields will be familiar with taxiways? So it wouldn't come as a surprise if we put one in, and it obviously help their safety as well. Yeah. Perfect. We're a bit behind
a little bit behind.
Yeah.
The reason you have to have it again is the fact that the runway is so wide.
Oh, yeah.
You can go anywhere.
Yeah, and it's better to have those lanes. Otherwise, you could have everybody everywhere. So,
but it becomes even more important when the runway is split for winching, and so that the gliders on winch are using that northeastern side. Everybody else is using the southern side. So all of a sudden, me and a fixed-wing aircraft coming in with our aircraft cannot use the side that the winch is on.
Yeah.
So I need to use the other side. What we don't want is people stacked up all over the place.
You know, this looks sensible.
So can I just make a point here, just, and I should have made it earlier, sorry. This report is going to the Aerodrome users and it's gone to the user group, and they are invited, we've invited their feedback.
Yeah.
And they're meeting on the 7th of July. Mike, myself will be
Users.
in that meeting.
Good.
Point is, you know, I'm expecting there will be, because we've got a lot of people who have operated out there for a long time and very knowledgeable people, and so I'm expecting we will be getting feedback on all of these issues. So I just wanted to let you know that will be happening.
Yeah.
And so, and I'll be honest, I would suggest to you that not all users will agree with all of the recommendations. They have more knowledge than me. The beauty of having an independent person is they are independent. So I just wanted to, what might look simple to me may not necessarily look simple or make sense to others. That's all I just want to make. Sorry.
Yeah, so when the runway is split like that, it just narrows up that southern side for other people. So what we're doing is putting a demarcation in there, and the taxiway, it's a very simple thing to put in if you're to go ahead with it. When the taxiway goes in, that AIP document that we get up on the screen before, that would be amended and it would show a taxiway on that document. So that we as a visitor coming there would know there's a taxiway on the site. You don't have to ship any fences, you don't have to do anything. It's very simple. There's a slight rise to the fence going down to the south, but I think we can fit it in. The third point I want to bring up is about, and if you change the slide there, thank you. There are a number of people that have in the past not followed all the procedures that are required in an unattended airfield. And, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been noted, and it's been noted in the incident reports that we have got from CAA, and there's a number of them. And a lot of these reports revolve around very close calls within the circuit area. Now, the circuit, for those that don't know, is that diagram there. It's similar to, like, use another analogy, about like a roundabout on the road. And you have to go around it a certain way. And but so when you approach a roundabout, if you want to take the third exit out to the right-hand side, you don't cut across the corner. You can go right around the roundabout. It's similar with the runway and the aerodrome. If you're approaching it from away from the aerodrome, there's a set pattern that you have to fly over the top of it at certain altitudes, and you let down and join the aeroplane in the bottom left-hand corner is going around, turning left and coming back around. Depends on the direction of your runway, of course, but that's the idea of a vehicle like that. There are some people that have abused that particular process. And if you're established in the circuit, if there's a number of aircraft, you stay in that order that you're in. If you're number 2 and number 3 in the circuit, you stay in number 2 and number 3. But there are some people that are cutting in front of other people on the circuit. They don't fly at the correct altitude. The correct altitude should be 1,000 feet above ground. People come in lower than that, and quite a bit lower than that, I might add, much lower than that. So there's some people that aren't following the rules, and it's a bit frustrating for those that do follow the rules, because they're having to look after somebody that they don't know exactly where they are. That situation.
The rules, like you say, are pretty clear.
Very. And this in the very back of the report is a section out of the rule there on that 91, which states how you should all should operate on the vehicle. The overhead joint procedure is developed years and years ago when aircraft didn't have radio. But now everybody's got a radio, but unfortunately what happens is sometimes the radio is volumes either turned down, or somebody forgot to make the radio call, they're on the wrong frequency because they come from Denmark too. They hear and forgot this frequency on the Matamata frequency, or they just didn't hear it, you know. Or so it's communication is a very important part of this process. And of course, the other thing is that you have here a system called AIM, which is a recording system that records all the aircraft movements. That is a radio-based piece of equipment, listens to the radio calls and interrogates them. And it uses a system called ADSB, which is a transponder. And it can determine whether the aircraft's landed at Matamata or it hasn't. Unfortunately, some people use only 2 letter call signs. Now, it's a requirement in the law. Your aircraft is Delta Bravo Charlie, and you must use all 3 letters Delta Bravo Charlie. Don't use Bravo Charlie. That's illegal. People, unfortunately, at this airfield at Matamata are using just 2.
So what are the repercussions? I mean, the people are breaching the rules. What teeth?
You as the operator of the FTs, there are processes you can. The number one thing you would do is get evidence and show it to the civil aviation and let them follow it up. That would be the number. Need to have the evidence. And you'll hear things like that. You can photograph it. You can listen to those recordings of the AIM system. There's a number of ways of looking at it. But the main thing is an education program. You've got to get the people on the airfield to buy into what is normal practice. And if somebody's not behaving, they can grab behind the hanger and give them a bit talking to them and bring them back. You know, that's sort of what really needs to happen. And I can give an example. In my time at the Taupo, we had a safety committee there was made up of very experienced operators, just like yours is. Your Aerodrome music group. If there was an individual playing up a bit or not following the rules, the representative for that particular activity, if say it was a helicopter doing something, would go and see that helicopter operator, pilot, and giving them and talking to. I didn't go as the Aerodrome manager. So it was Peter, his peer pressure was more effective than me, because I was seen as the enemy doing it. The peer pressure was the one to get it. So you've got to build that sort of that rapport up with the users, and you've got some very, very good loyal users. And they're generally very good. It's just the odd one or two that do it, but they're the ones who can put a lot of people in this.
Yeah, spoil it for the rest.
And that becomes the issue. So we need to just work on that a little bit, you know, to get these people to play the game. Because it is, aviation is a high risk game when you're in close proximity with each other. You know, on its own, it's not one risk, I'll say, but when you get two airplanes in the same piece of airspace, very close, it becomes very difficult. I'm going to come to that shortly. That's a different game altogether. And what we need to appreciate that the gliders have right on. So, and that's the other side of the coin. On this particular stage, I'm just talking about the out aircraft. I think I did read it. Yeah.
Slush cap.
So effectively, that circular's here to keep everybody safe. And if everybody understands it, and you know, particularly Matamata, where you've got different levels of experience on the airfield. You've got training, you've got the Aerodrome does flight training, people Ryan does flight training, piloting club doing training. You a pilot coming to the airfield does not know the experience level of pilot in the other end. And if push comes to shove and something untoward happens, a student pilot can actually do something that's totally unpredictable. And we don't want that to happen. We want to know that they can go there and follow the procedures and carry them out. Yeah, it's very hard to do. Yeah.
Yep, cool.
So, you know, so that's a little bit about the overhead joint procedure. The last one I want to talk a bit about is the proposal that the Gliding Club put forward some time ago now regarding turning right onto runway 28 right base. Now, runway 28 from you runs from the bottom right hand corner of the screen there to the northeast and northwest front. The normal circuit procedure is out to the west. So if you were to take off on that runway, all the aircraft turn left, not right as shown on that diagram, they turn left. They fly around and all that traffic remains out. Regardless of which runway, which direction you're taking off, they go out to the west, southwest. Problem comes about with the gliders when they're coming back from the bridge at the big finalised there. Sometimes they're getting low on altitude coming back here, they not going to make it, they're going to end up with a paddock up there. Or they've got enough altitude, technically they should join over here, like shown on their previous plan. But they don't have the altitude to do that. They're going to lose it. So they're coming in and turning right onto runway 28. And, you know, it's not a stupid idea, to be honest, but it is against the rules as the rules are right now. So I've had a pretty good look at this, and I've spoken to the Civil Aviation Authority about it, and we've had quite a good discussion. And the easy way for me to see it is just flip the circuit direction the other way, not narrows. So an aircraft taking off on runway 28 instead of turning left, turning right. So everybody's going in the same direction. Because what's been happening is that the gliding club taking off from runway 28 often turn right to the tow plane instead of left, going over the top of the airfield and going out to the plane. They turn right, just disappear out of the room. And likewise, when they're coming back, they just turn to the right rather than coming over the top and doing the region. But if you've got, and what happens is you end up with a conflict. So that if you've got a glider joining when the range is coming in, turning right, and you've got an aeroplane in the circuit moving around to the left, they could be head on that base speed. Now, gliders are very, very difficult to see because of their low profile. They come straight in. So, what I'm suggesting is that we swap the circuit over, so everybody is going in the same direction. So that the aircraft, they take off and they stay turning right. And when they're heading, the gliders coming in, they can come in from the ranges and turn right, just turn right onto the circuit. Everybody's in the same direction. Typically for the aeroplane going downwind, it is parallel to the runway. If there's a glider coming in from the bridge, he's going to look and see that glider slide on. It's going to be a bigger profile and it's got a better chance of seeing it than it is coming in head on.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a proposal that I'm putting forward. I've had a discussion, I said, with the CAA. They will not accept, I can tell you now, they will not accept the right turn onto the runway as the gliding club has just proposed, whilst keeping the circuit in the other direction. But they will entertain the idea
that the planes will have to change what they do.
Correct.
Is it standard? I guess it depends on the wind, prevailing wind, and the direction of the runway as to what other airfields have. Has it always been a standard left turn, or is it unique?
Standard rule is yes, a left turn.
Yeah,
But
it's not practical here with the thermals.
it's not practical here, but there's something the aerodrome operator. There are many, many airfields around the country where there's different circuits.
Oh, that's good to understand. Yep.
Some of them, you know, and I said we put up a couple of times mentioned that some airfields have counter-rotating circuits. But they're a little bit different in fact that they don't always have gliding attached.
Yeah.
With their pounding.
That's a little bit more unique.
When there's skylines out to the east, everyone else goes out to the other side. But there's only 2 skydiving aircraft. There's not a whole fleet.
That's right. It's who are the majority really that you work with. Yeah.
And there's an MOU too between the aerodrome operator and the skydivers as to how they are to operate in that. So
Good to understand. Yep.
there's a primary circuit and a secondary circuit. The one that's out to the east of Dalman is a secondary circuit. It's not the primary circuit. So what I'm suggesting here is the primary circuit that we've got now, which goes left hand off 28, right hand off 10, is flipped open and goes the other way.
One thing, Mike, sorry, and related to this, there's a comment here about the radio call from the guide or about some static not even may or transmit on the wrong frequency. But that kind of question mark because I would have thought there would be a frequency. Yeah.
There is its own frequency.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
But the gliders operate away from the airfield and they often get up into controlled airspace, which is on a totally separate frequency again, or they could be coming back from outside of the mandatory broadcast zone, which is around the Matamata-Piako field, to be achieved. There's a separate frequency again. And the pilot has either just accidentally forgotten that he's on the other frequency, or they have their own chat frequency. They're often talking amongst themselves and they haven't flipped it over. Because with gliders, they don't have a huge amount of battery power. So they don't have multiple radios like our aircraft have. So they might have the one radio and they don't want to keep it on all the time, or they might have to clicking back and forward. So they may be on the wrong frequency. It does have its fingers. So that's my suggestion, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of sort of, it's just a brief for you. I'm open to any questions.
I could just make some comments following on from what Mike had said. Bearing in mind, I'm not don't go near aviation. Except to say that this whole discussion about the circuit started about 3 years ago, I think from memory, when we first reported to the governance committee that it had risen. And, despite my lack of knowledge, what was clear to me, and through, let me just also acknowledge that we've got a user group with a lot of experience and a desire to ensure that the Aerodrome operates safely. And that is their goal. And so we've been through a process in relation to the proposal put forward by the Gliding Club. What that highlighted to start was that even though these are the rules are not being followed. We cannot unknow what we know. So we know the rules aren't being followed. The CAA know the rules aren't being followed. We are on the radar with them, understandably. And the users want to find a solution as well. And so that actually was one of the main triggers for this report, to say we have to find a way to make this safer and take a holistic view of it. Now, I would absolutely love if this is a solution that everybody buys into. We don't need everybody to buy into it. We need to go through a process and have a discussion. And I'm expecting that there will be feedback from some users that this isn't. Having said that, we cannot ignore what we know. It's one of the reasons why we've taken the time to A, get the study done, B, as Mike said, and has been proven on the Aerodrome, that there is ownership of the solution that will work. And so we have to go through this process, and we should go through this process with our users. An element of any change to the AIP like of this order is that there is a CAA will expect us to undertake a risk assessment, and Mike refers to that in the report. So from a person who has no aviation knowledge, it's another reason why I feel pleased that we're at a point that we're taking forward a potential solution, and we will find an answer. We will, which might in the end mean the Aerodrome operator, that is council and this committee, will have to make a call. And then everybody will have to follow the rules. But I just want to reinforce that we know that some people aren't at the moment. And that creates the kind of very dangerous situation. And I know people have different perspectives on the airfield about how dangerous that is. But as a non-aviation person, to have traffic going the wrong way on a roundabout, is not safe. So I just want to give you that context as well. We're not asking for a decision today. We've got to go through a process, and we'll come back to you. We're probably looking at, we're aiming to be back in front of you for the next governance committee meeting. So I'm hoping we've got some good news to report back about that. So mentioned at the beginning, the main reason for putting this in front of you now, ahead of time, ahead of the promise that was made to the user group, was that I needed you to understand this, and that's why Mike said, as best we can.
That was good.
Just if I might add to that, the proposal there is just a proposal to start a conversation. And there will be variations to it, and as I said, when the group get together and discuss it, there'll be variations probably put forward. But the CAA, before they accept anything, will provide a full risk assessment. And that will be a part of that process. And the decision will be made following that. But at the end of the day, it is just to start the discussion. I believe it'll work, but there are others that may not, and we'll discuss that.
Just another question just around the risks. Are there any trees or hazards for the airfield in the wider perspective?
At the end of the day, you're only really concentrating on what's known as the obstacle limitations, which is off the end of the runway.
Yes.
Off the end of runway 28 and into the west rather, there are trees over the road, over Highway 27 that are infringing
I have heard,
into
the
that.
landowner has mentioned it.
Yeah, well, we've, through you may recall that our team said we need to, because we had trees on our runway, which were compliant. So before we enforce anything else or required anybody else, we wanted to make sure ours was sorted.
Yeah.
And Vicky and Sharon got that sorted this financial year, which we're really pleased about.
Yeah.
And our compliance team do know which are the trees that need to be addressed on private land. And we're approaching them.
I remember the discussion.
Yes.
I thought we were approaching.
We are.
No, but I thought back then.
Oh, we wanted to get our act sorted straight away.
Yeah.
And then we could have a position of not purity, but at least we've done what we need to do before we ask others to do what they need.
And there's a genuine reason for it. You know, it's not like we're just making it up. That's why I just thought, well, I'd raise it today in this workshop space. That, you know, this isn't just about there are other hazards in the location. So, yeah, good to
What I
understand.
haven't checked, I don't know, this protection around the
Yes, there is.
Yes,
there is.
Trees. Yep.
Cool.
If those trees remain there unchopped, you can have to do a survey and make sure that the threshold markers on that end, northeast, western end, are far enough in to make sure that the gradient is clear of those trees.
Sorry, Max, did you mean are the trees protected?
No.
No, we've got protections in terms of the height.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
So you might need to shift the threshold, but I think I had a quick look while I was there. They're pretty close, I think. But you could shift, once those trees are down, you can actually shift those markers a bit further back and give you a bit more length.
Well,
So on that, if I can, I just really want to thank Mike for all his work, and we've got a great bunch of users out there, and very fortunate to have the user group representatives we have. Having said that, it just seems like around the country, from listening to Mike, that Aerodrome's got a lot of interesting characters involved, which I suppose is part of the attraction that Mike does all does. So I really appreciate all your effort on it. And, look forward to taking.
All a bunch of reading I didn't. But this, can I just say that in closing that this Aerodrome is no different.
Yeah.
They all have little idiosyncrasies and issues with users and the way things operate. We're all individuals. We all want to do things differently, and sometimes they will go comply. Aviation is one of those where there's often no second chance. We try and make it safe.
How do they communicate to users that this change will lead to a right to?
Right, it goes through the whole process, and then that document that we shared, that AOP document, it goes out as a notification.
Like on there with the arrow going right in the middle.
Yeah,
That's all right.
That document I showed you, ARP, which shows, it showed those two little black arrows on there.
Yeah.
Well, they would actually go the other way.
Yeah.
Actually, the runway at the top,
You can run,
that would remain the same. Okay. Right, it's just this runway 1028 would change. The other thing around changing as well, it takes the noise away from the town of Baltimore. Right, as well, because the service can get that.
Right, excellent.
Thank you.
So we'll now move on to item 7.2, which is the update on the master plan and reserve management plan review. It's great, very interesting. Actually, it's quite interesting being a person that sees gliders flying around and some of them losing air and landing on our farm and whatnot. It's amazing how they can suddenly catch some air and you know, they don't look like they're going to make it to Waharoa, let alone the airfield, and then suddenly up they come and they go to land. It's incredible. Alrighty, thanks, Mark.
Our report is on the Aerodrome Reserve Management Plan, Master Plan. Just a brief update. Essentially, we'll take the report as read. I just wanted to introduce someone and then also highlight a few things from the report. Firstly, to introduce Alan Withy, the independent facilitator. Facilitate some of this draft engagement discussions as detailed in the report. Meet Alan before potentially. Alan's got a background in policy planning resolution. Early in the process, there's also a request from stakeholders. Facilitator will give us a tikanga Māori regarding engaged capacity. Local community offices structure are valuable. As you would have seen in the report, we've got consultation engagement with all stakeholders in occurring. Now we third phase of this. Direction on this. But before we go to questions, the presentation of this presentation on two things. First, an update on the finances, and you may have seen the report. See spend on budget. We have a really good base of information though so far. There are a few decisions that we have to made in the process, draft things, but we do have much of the reassure you have. Second thing is just a reminder about patient plans. Like each decision making, but they do not even find out about that. That's something to bear in mind. Also, there may be some solutions, potential solutions. She sit outside and maybe other ways of achieving things. We're looking at recommendations for elements of the same questions.
Questions? We're very quiet. So I understand had quite a number of people attend. There was the follow-up for expression to have the more iwi balance to the facilitation. So Lisa has undertaken that. And everything's just sort of progressing along in that space. Anything, any concerns, or quite happy with how it's gone? Or any feedback on that? Do you have any comment to make? Because it is quite complex, isn't it?
This one was me getting my head around the issues.
Yeah.
It is a complicated situation. Phase two was to use the words of clarifications and credibility with the parties in who I had. Phase three would endeavour to find a fair way forward. If that is not achievable, then at least I would follow the business plan. At the very least, you would get those that could identify the issues, my recommendations regarding those issues. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
And it's up to you whether you pick with the touch or you engage me for phase three.
Because today we're not here to make decisions, but I guess we can discuss it. I guess we too from here, because if we're not technically making a decision, what's our direction? We just make the recommendation?
Well, if you give us guidance, I think that would be very good. I mean, we would, all of you members have been involved in discussions about this reserve management plan, and probably like me, wanted to give it air as soon as we could so that the issues could be discussed and that we could make some progress. And there was a sense of relief on my part that we were actually able to start the process. And can I commend all of the parties that were involved in the first meeting that Alan was involved in, and the user group members, iwi members. It was, I had some trepidation about that meeting, to be honest. But the goodwill that was expressed and the willingness to listen and start taking it, not necessarily start, but take account of the perspectives that were put on the table was I was not expecting it to work as well as it did, and I was very pleased with it. The reality is that this process has got some big issues, as you know, in it, and they take time to work through. And the user representatives there got all of their people that they're representing that they need to take along with them. Iwi have all of their people that they need to take along with them. So whilst we might have been working on this for some years now, as the governance committee and the staff, all of our other stakeholders in this is really not. This is the early parts of this process for them. So I think there needs to be personally some patience, and that we do need to allow the process to work. That would be my personal view.
I think it's wise.
I don't think
Yeah.
any disagree.
Yeah, no,
That's
yes,
to me.
it is wise, and it is played a long game. The best conclusions that we can, whether it's right or wrong, it's the best compromise or whatever. No.
We've been surprised that the statement was made that Lisa wasn't 99%. Very well true, but she is the general manager of the 99 Trust. It's like, I know it says that in there she's been employed on a personal basis, but and she's probably exactly the right person. I'm not sure I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think that was probably more related to the fact, it's a bit like me. I'm not from here. So I am not, I have a degree of independence, and I might say some things here that I wouldn't say at home, because it would not be my place to say. But it's also acknowledged that the people who whakapapa to Ngāti Haua, that's their land, and so Lisa's independence in that regard, from the whakapapa perspective, was actually seen to be a plus. I mean, where she sits, you know, to bring somebody in like that, and they immediately, I believe, have the trust.
Yeah.
Of Papu and Iwi is great.
I think she's the right person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just make it work.
So it's not a criticism. It's actually, we saw that as actually potentially a strength. That
Oh, yeah. Well, it's trusting and understanding, because she understands it. Yep. No, I think it's pretty straightforward. From the sounds of it, so I guess the general direction is, Rani, you're quite happy to go through phase 3? Yes. I think it makes sense. So we'll just give that directive while we can pass a resolution. Good.
Become not continue.
So nothing else to add. That's where it's at. So thank you. Keep going, and just got to get to the end at some stage sooner rather than later, but follow the schedule as best we can. I think everybody wants certainty. I think that's the biggest thing. Going. That'll be good. Thank you. Thanks, Alan. Thank you. Next item. Our community facilities update.
Yes, now just perhaps on a different level. Staff have delegated authority to deal with leases at the Aerodrome. So what we have been doing, particularly in the last 3 or 4 years, is making sure that the governance committee is aware of decisions around leases, and we're trying to make tactical decisions, if you like, without prejudging the outcome of anything. We've been trying to ensure that we're tactical in our renewal process. And what I mean by tactical, and one of the discussions we had maybe 2 years ago when we were talking about leases was, let's try and align leases so they expire at the same time. So today is just another one of those indication things. So what we've been doing from a tactical perspective is that we actually got leases on a month-by-month lease as they expire. Now, this is perhaps, and what I'm putting to you perhaps is this is the time just to reflect on that month-by-month renewal and to ask you whether you feel we can perhaps say, okay, still having an objective to align expiration date, whether we could actually say now, rather than say month-by-month leases, rather say, well, the majority of leases, we're going to end up with a lot of leases on month-by-month. And is there scope for us to actually say, well, let's actually, again, without prejudging the outcome of any other discussion, rather than month-by-month, let's say we could at least get all the leases aiming for, most of the leases aiming for a particular date. And that gives more certainty, if you like, to the hangar owners, but doesn't compromise the longer term objective, which is not to restrict any future decisions about where hangars might sit, etc. So I just thought this is perhaps an opportunity to put that in front of you. We can action that. I can go back to the team and say, right, rather than month by month, let's make them all aim for this date. And for example, December 26th, which again doesn't preclude any or prejudge any other decision, but may give some more certainty to our leaseholders. And look, as a part of this is the reality check on timeframes. If we've got the reserve management plan through its statutory process by December 26th, I'll be delighted. I'll be delighted with that. You take a whatever sweepstake as to what they open. I'll be pretty delighted if we get there, because once we get into that formal process of reserve management plan submissions, we follow that process and there are submissions, etc., etc. Second to that is getting it adopted is one thing, implementing it is the second thing. So I believe in my own mind that a December 26th date is not going to compromise any tactical or strategic decision, personally, because I just think it's going to take us that long to get through this.
Yeah. So basically, we're heading into another triennium, which will, throw
Well,
up another.
I would love to be wrong.
Yeah.
And if you have a different view, and if you say to me, well, we should really keep doing what we're doing, I'm fine with that. But I just think realistically, there's a bit more to happen. And can we A, reduce some administration, B, give some certainty to hangar owners, a little bit more than they have now anyway. What I am saying is in terms of doing that, we would just go back to our lease agreement and make sure that, here's an example. I suspect, and I don't blame some hangar owners thinking they actually have rights beyond the term of their lease. Okay? I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I suspect there are probably names of people who feel that way. We do not agree, but issues like that, I would like to try and make sure they're crystal clear in any lease renewals. Okay? So that's an example of where we would go and make sure that the lease document going forward reflects what our view of the world should be. Now, any lease agreement is a negotiation, not but it opens the door for some of those conversations to continue with. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're comfortable with me aiming for a strategic date like December 26th, then we will implement that. We have the authority to do that, but wanting to make sure that you're on side with that.
Do what is practical.
Yeah, I guess
The date that was in my head was actually 30th of June 27, and putting everyone on that end of the financial year, not putting any pressure on December, vacations, whatever, but change everyone to a lease that expires on the 30th of June 2027. Then everyone knows when it is. It's the end of the financial year. They all have certainty of when it is. No one's been treated any different. It's not a month by month thing. Makes sense from a logistical point of view.
From a financial year,
Yeah.
does it work better from a financial year perspective?
This is precisely why I want to get your direction, because I'm okay with the date. I really am. I think it's more the approach, and so yes, look, I'm okay with that date. You give me a date.
I guess the fascinating thing is trying to pin a date on the calendar as to when we're going to get the reserve management plan in place. Because if we were to achieve it earlier and we have a later lease, what impact might that have? But then if we do go past December 26 to get it signed off, then it'll revert to month by month, I suppose. The question I have is that signalling to the leaseholders? What message is that signalling to what happens after June 2027? Are we signalling, hey, this airfield's closing? What's the word going to be out there? Because this is around the comms and the messaging.
So we've said, and even though this my approach hasn't been welcome, let's be honest.
No.
But we have said what we're trying to do here is not have a constraint to any strategic decisions that might come out of the reserve management plan. It doesn't mean that there will be a decision that something will change. It's just, this is what the committee said to me, and I thought was the right. We just need to position ourselves. Yeah. So you're right about, Mary Adrian, the comms to the users, to the hangar owners, will be, the objective and strategy is still the same, but we're just trying to give you a little bit more certainty and be realistic about things. And so, you cannot prejudge the outcome of a reserve management plan. You can't. We've got it, that process has to be considered on its own merits. And so we will make clear that there are no decisions made about that RMP. Okay? So you're absolutely right. That messaging is important.
Very important. Because that's where when we went month by month, it sort of threw up a whole can of worms because there wasn't the narrative behind the reasoning. So just got to be really clear.
Apologise to hangar-owners.
No, it did cause a bit of grief, but if we can, if it doesn't matter, and we can go to June 30th, 2027, it's only another 6 months longer. And the thing is there, if a decision's been made beforehand, that could be the lead-in time of whatever that next phase may be, whatever that is, that there'll be some work done.
Maybe give them warning on that date with the done.
Well, they'll know what's
3 or 5 by 5
or where they go. Yeah, like there's no, there'll be a signal. We will know more by that date rather than say December 2026. Oh, well, I think it gives us another 6 months to have that certainty.
Yep, that's great. Appreciate that feedback. Excellent.
We're playing a long game, so
yes. What's up?
For a review period.
Yeah, well, there wouldn't actually be we would say June 27, and then it would have to be a brand new lease after that date, really, I think. But I'll get the advice on that. But I agree with you. So I wasn't intending that you will go June 27 and 3 years after that, because that doesn't achieve the objective. So June 27 becomes the date for most of them. There still will be some, not many, after that, but there'll still be some. But the majority will be on June 27. Right.
Hopefully the leaseholders be accepting of
Well,
that.
hopefully I do hope it's welcomed. I've seen the shake over the head over there. Well, I'm always optimistic.
Hard one. From a administrative perspective, it's probably quite easy to do them all at the same time rather than.
Everything happening. Alan's going into phase 3.
Yes.
Working on it.
You
So
know,
look and
going
see.
3 years in advance is so much better than monthly though.
Yes.
So,
Bit of a money.
Not just hangers, applying to clubhouses, things like that, and we've got some decisions made about renewal of assets, painting, and some major costs that once things settle down as soon as they can, we'll get back to some long-term planning. So I have an opportunity to bid for 2029 World Championship. And we have to know that we're going to be there. So
We're raising that, yeah.
so the month to month, 3 years is better than month to month, but in terms of assets, it's not just tin sheds, it's bunkhouse, clubhouse, and everything else. From our facilities, man.
But we can actually, for those particular ones, by the way, we can come back to on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they are the
3 years is better than month to month, but
Yes, still need the
short
certainty.
time frame to take this planning.
Yeah, thank you for letting us know that you've got world champs. That's a little different. Yeah, whether we knew about it or not. So yeah, we should hopefully, like I would hope that we would have the plan done well before then. So then we just review whatever the strategy is from there. Because nothing's going to happen overnight.
Well, let's look at those specific clubhouse ones. We'll just pinpoint those ones particularly. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for raising that. It's good.
Thank you very much.
Right. Okay. I believe it. Taylor's in here. Nathan will and Carolyn and Jashri. Come on up. We'll do the district plan next. Just shuffling around because the team are here. It's a workshop, but and I was just questioning whether we needed to do it. Just keep it really brief. Yeah. If we just, because it's just a workshop, it's just a workshop, Nathan, so I'll just keep it really brief. We've just really only got Rangi here. We've got it online, but just yeah, just a brief update would be great. Keep it short.
Carolyn Kelly, I'm here in Matamata, and I started at the council about 3 months ago. So I'll take the report as read and just quickly go through the items. So the first topic was PC 49 Waharoa, and the council is now reviewing the material that came out of the hui and looking at which parts of that could be made into a plan change. And staff will be putting together an issues and options paper and hiring experts as required. And this will be material that's taken out for consultation. In terms of the plan change 54 Waharoa, we've quite a bit since this committee last met with a hearing of plan change in front of independent commissioners. Plans right of reply report. It reviews submissions and commissioners' comments at the hearing has proposed a number of changes that have been proposed to include the definition of hapakainga and changes in density provisions. Commissioners have advised that the hearing, the decision report will be available at the end of this month, and then after that time we are obliged to publicly notify that decision for 30 days, and then the hearing parties want to the decision. On the plan change 57 Calcutta, and recall that this is changing industrial rural land for industrial land on the Tauranga Road. This is notified for the submissions and further submissions. Due to various delays, the application is now coming closest to the threshold to reach a decision, and because of that, the applicant has requested to the council that they approach the municipal Ministry of the Environment for an extension of time. So that feedback's been collated and Nathan will be taking that to council's for a decision. So that application does remain on hold. National planning standards, we're working hard on those, but we are a little bit behind, so we're hoping that the new format of the district plan will be notified in the next few months, and that will be followed by a larger plan change containing the more complex changes, and we'll be looking to notify that later this year. In terms of RMA reform, there's a lot of work in that space. So the government has prepared existing legislation. So we're in phase 2 now, and there's 2 things going on there at the moment. First is the revised fast track approval bill process. So staff made a submission into that process, and we're aware that there are 3 proposals in the district that are looking to run under this legislation. Which would be the Swartz Quarry at Barton Road, K6 development, residential development at Banks Road, and the Cambridge to Hariri extension of Highway 1. And we anticipate that they're all will be approved here. The second process running under phase 2 is the first RMA amendment bill, and staff and make submission into that process. We're just a bit concerned that there are significant changes to national direction which will involve less consultation. The Minister making the final decision as opposed to a panel currently, and the removal of cultural considerations from national decision-making documents. And so the submission process, again, let's look at this panel review in one year. And there will also be another amendment built out for notification and submissions before the end of the year. This next year showing the beginning of the phase 3 of the reform that we can of. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, we heard it all yesterday. Rangi, I think it's fairly quick notice on you, but I guess it's just an update with the specialist interest for local iwi in this space. So it's the Papapainga and PC 49 are the main 2. They are back on, well, PC's changed a long way.
I just weird a bit the swap quarry on Back Road.
Yeah, that was yesterday, those 3 were there, yeah. Yeah, no, there were the 3 mentioned. The expressway really only touches the edge of us because the highway is, the roundabouts on our land, and it's probably only about a couple of 100 metres, and then it's into Waipa. So, but it's still in our area, yeah. And then there's the development down on Banks Road, and then I believe so, but anyway, that's in there. It's not in our turf, it's in the fast track game.
Looking to extend the quarry and go through a fast track process to do that. But that's it is fine at the moment to be on the list. Doesn't necessarily, it's not a foregone conclusion that will run the whole process, but we're just aware of those 3 projects.
Oh, if there's no further questions, then we've received the information. It's workshop, so no recommendations. Thanks for coming over, Carolyn. And just you would have been in Matamata office before, wouldn't you? Yeah. How do you spell your name? Right. I'll remember it. If I write it down, I'll remember it. Yeah. Cool. Very good. I've got Carolyn's sus. It's like, you know, you're throwing 2 more people in the room. It's oh, good. Lovely. Thanks, Carolyn. Alrighty. So we've just got Sandra to cover off the rest of the items.
So similar, I'll just give a very, very brief update. So update on our long-term plan. Council consulted on a number of topics. We got 465 submissions. The majority of those were in agreement with the options that the council had proposed, noting some weren't. Hearing was held in the 9th of May. Following the submissions, council made decisions on each of its major topics that it consulted on the 22nd of May. And we are currently going through our final audit at the moment, due to be finished hopefully end of this week, all things going well. And council will adopt their final long-term plan.
That's it? Yeah.
Questions, but it's quite, I know you guys have heard it before, what.
And of course, Matamata-Piako,
Yeah.
we talked about Matamata-Piako, they did ask that I was trying to get Matamata-Piako didn't have that information, so yeah, but like it's not now.
And your update on our non-LTV related policies, so we consulted on 3 policies alongside our long-term planning. Dangerous, affected and sanitary buildings policy, which is the legal requirement, and minor changes to the formatting and definition. The legal device policy is the one that did have a wee bit of change. So the council extended the distance that on retail businesses can be located from another, from 300 to 350 metres. So in real life, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. There's no approved products whatsoever, but surely it gives us that certainty that we have roughly one out there per town. The last one is our smoke-free outdoor spaces policy. So council is proposing significant changes to this, and we're looking at running a wee bit of an awareness campaign later on in the year around this and our fees and charges as per normal.
Very good.
Yeah, it's just the what we're going to see what we've got.
Yes, so we'll go through that now.
Any questions?
Any questions of the
Expand. We've had no further update. We need to go about spend management stuff outside of the
Europe at July.
no further update due to the change of government and change of priorities. So we did seek an update. There is no update.
Right. Sorry. I might ask you about that one and kind of get a.
And probably the only other thing I'll mention is our next meeting in September. And we're going to work with Mark and his team on when's the best timing for that meeting, given the meetings that are happening in between now and then. He signalled maybe sometime in October rather than September. But given got a couple of members missing here, what we'll do is we'll finalise a couple of options with Mark and over the next few weeks, if you can do that, cool, G, and we'll send out some options to the committee if that's okay. He said September might be a little bit soon, but October will be really good timing.
Okay. Yep. That's good. Excellent. So that was anything else on the motion? No. So yeah, we get that data because we'll have to pin the doing it to be 13. And a formal data.
Yes,
authorised
discussions with Lisa that she'll just give us a letter on behalf of the Iwi Trust. And I just think we'll need it a couple of weeks before the meeting, so we can do
Yeah. Oh, with that, it's lunchtime, that's probably, it's coming out.
Yeah, I saw that.